You ever watched a YouTube video and you're like, damn, I'm so glad I watched this? This video is one of them. The Tomorrow Man theory helped me so much. I teach it my clients. I'm actually have this front of mind because I taught it a client last night. And it's one of the practices that no matter if you feel like you're self-sabotaging yourself, if you feel like you're not fully expressing yourself, you're not reaching your goals, you always fall off your path because you try to be perfect and then, oh, I was not perfect, I might as well mess everything up. If you're that kind of person, if you want to really improve your life and be successful, I'm telling you this video is so important because it's going to establish your relationship between your yesterday man, your today man, and your tomorrow man, and how all of them work together. And to start the video, I want to read you where this theory came from. It came from a book. It became popular on a Reddit post. And that actually became popular on a TikTok. That Reddit post became popular on a TikTok. So I'm gonna read that now for you. This was shared by Floyd Fanatic 9 years ago on Reddit. And he says, below is an excerpt from a book titled Devils in Exile by Chuck Hogan. It's kept me motivated over the years and I figured I would share it with you guys. Today, right here, you are who you are. Tomorrow, you will be who you will be. Each and every night we lie down to die, and each morning we arise reborn. Now those who are in good spirits with strong mental health, they look out for their tomorrow man. They eat right today. They drink right today. They go to sleep early today. All so that tomorrow man thanks yesterday man. He looks up on him fondly as a child might to a good parent. He knows that someone himself was looking out for him. He feels cared for and respected, loved in a word. And now he has a legacy to pass on to his subsequent selves. But those who are in a bad way with poor mental health, they constantly leave these messes for tomorrow man to clean up. They eat whatever the hell they want, drink like the night will never end, and then fall asleep to forget. They don't respect tomorrow man because they don't think through the fact that tomorrow man will be them. So then they wake up, new today man, groaning at the disrespect yesterday man showed them, wondering why does that guy, myself, keep punishing me? But they never learn and instead come to settle for that behavior, eventually learning to ask and expect nothing of themselves. They pass along these same bad habits tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. And it becomes psychologically genetic, like a curse. You are a man, constantly trying to fix today what yesterday man did to you. You make up your bed, you clean those dirty dishes from the night before and pledge not to start drinking until 6, thinking that's the way to keep an even keel. But in reality, you're always playing catch up. You can't fix the mistakes of yesterday. Yesterday man is dead. He's gone forever, and blame and atonement aren't worth a damn. What you can do is help yourself today. Eat a vegetable, read a book, cut that hair of yours, leave tomorrow man something more than a headache and a jam-packed column. Do for tomorrow man what you would have wanted yesterday man to do for you. This is a beautiful post, and I want to go deeper in it now to give you more insight, more tools, practical tools, because that's a great part of the book. That's a great theory, but we want to make it practical. Yesterday, my client, I gave her those practical tools, and I'm going to give them to you today, all right? So we have yesterday man, we have today man, and we have tomorrow man. And then we're going to look at the relationship that happens with the brain, with your own brain, and what kind of self-image you create. Now, the most important thing we want to understand is how do we set up tomorrow man for success, right? How do we set up tomorrow man for success? As an example, let's say you want to go to the gym and you say, oh, I'm going to go to the gym for months now. But then you keep putting it off, you keep not going because you're not setting up an atmosphere for you to be successful. So for example, an atmosphere, what is more, ask yourself the question, because there's the power of questions. What improves the likelihood for me to go to the gym? What atmosphere can I set up for myself to have more of a likelihood to go to the gym? As an example, if you lay out your gym clothes the night before, you're probably more likely, because you already invested in your mind, oh, I'm going to the gym, I'm laying out. Then the next day when you wake up, you have less resistance. See, there's two ways. We're building less resistance to go to the gym, to build your business, to do the things you want to do, and we're creating an investment to make it more likely for us to remember to go and want to go. Another thing is, if you proactively set up the splits during the week with the gym, if that's a full body split, if that's a split leg, chest, back, or push-pull, whatever, then you already the night before think about, okay, those are the exercises I'm going to do tomorrow. When you wake up, you remember, oh, I have my clothes, the exercises. What I do actually, I have two protein shakes in my fridge right now. I almost make every day protein shakes, two actually, one for today and one for tomorrow. So tomorrow I have an easier time. My tomorrow man has an easier time, gets the protein shake and go to the gym. And then I'm not immediately hungry. Like even after the gym, if I have coaching calls or I want to do videos, instead of having to rush to go to eat, I can have the protein shake, do some work, and then go to eat. So how do we set ourselves up for success for the next day? Another one is meditation, for example, right? If we, for example, first thing in the morning, have our phone right next to our bed and you grab it, Mark Freeman actually has this trick. He puts a postal note on the phone that says, go to the kitchen, make yourself food. Or you can put a postal note on, go meditate, right? Instead of being reactive, oh, scrolling on TikTok, checking something, you go, put your chair down, like have your chair already set up, right? Because you want to have less resistance. Have your chair set up, you sit down, you start meditating. Now what I teach people then after the meditation is to do a thankfulness journal, because the meditation sort of says neutralize you, you relax, you breathe with a sound, you equal everything out, and then after you have a journal where you write down what you're thankful for, what you're excited about, because that gives you a momentum for the day, a different momentum, right? Because in the beginning of the day, we start a momentum. This is also how we set ourselves up for success, how we set our tomorrow man up for success. Now, if you don't have a journal, that's hard resistance, right? You're less likely to do it. You have to go to the store, buy it, come back. If your journal is in another room, that's also a little bit more resistance, because like, I'm not going right now. I'm gonna go to the fridge first, do something, and then you forget journaling, right? But if you have your meditation seat here, and you have your journal right next to you on the table, you just go over and start writing. Does it make sense? We set ourselves up for success by creating an atmosphere that makes it more likely to do those things. And one of them is like having a whiteboard, postal notes, reminders on the phone, alarms, things, and now listen to me, that are outside of your head. Because with all the habits, with all the spending time inside of your head, your brain can always trick you on what's the most impactful. Oh, no, you need to do this. You need to fix this. Your sister said this. You got this text message. And then you get confused and you're like, oh yeah, this is important, because you get pulled around by your emotions and thoughts. It's going to be based on reactivity, okay? So let me do this. Reactivity. You constantly reactive, and most likely you reactive to the old patterns from the brain that come up. So that's not how you're setting yourself up for success. You want to find out what's the most impactful things to support tomorrow man. Now that doesn't mean we always have to be perfect. I'm going to tell you later on why you don't have to be perfect, and why trying to be perfect is actually keeping you from moving forward, because it creates more resistance and pressure. And that might be one of the keys why you've been sabotaging yourself. We talked about setting yourself up for success, right? But we want to make it more practical. So what does that mean? Ask yourself, what are the most important things for you to create an atmosphere to have the energy to live your life? That's the first question. Because if you don't have the energy to live your life and do the valued actions to build your life, to build your goals, you already set yourself up for failure. Number one, most important thing, sleep. How can you have better sleep, right? Because if you don't have the sleep, you know you will not be able to have the energy to do the things. You're going to be groggy, you're going to do more compulsions, you're going to be more stressed. So in general, we want to support our sleeps with the habits that help you, which might be red light therapy, going out in the sun, working out will help you, spending time outside of your head instead of constantly spending time inside of your head. So there's so many things that you can support your sleep with. Number two, food, nutrition. If you don't eat, you're going to be hungry, you're going to be hangry, and you're not setting yourself up for success. You're also going to be more reactive because you're under stress, right? So food and drinking, and good food, food that supports you, food that gives you energy. That doesn't mean that sometimes you cannot eat like some chocolate, but overall, how can you support your body overall with actions, proactively setting them instead of reactively, urge, chips, chocolate, this, that, candy. Proactively setting yourself up that most of the time, it's like Mark Freeman says, you don't have to figure out, oh, fix. What can I fix? You make it about adding. How can I add more healthy things? Mark Freeman has this great example of the lake. Think about this. If you have a glass of water, right, and you put 4 spoons of salt into the glass of water, does the glass of water taste like salt? Yes, it does, right? Because in that small glass of water, it at least tastes different and it can't taste salty. But if you put those salt spoons, the same amount, into a big freshwater lake, does the lake taste like salt? No, it doesn't, right? Of course, unless you're like right here in the lake and then real quick go in there and lick it up. But we're talking about if you put it in the lake and it has some time to dissolve, okay, does it taste like salt? No, it doesn't. It tastes like fresh water because you have so much more buffer. You have so much more of an atmosphere created for you to succeed. The same way here, you can make mistakes, but you want to overall set yourself up for success by setting valued actions proactively into your week. And then some people are like, oh, but somehow I never get them done. Yes, because you also need to set yourself up for success by giving yourself less resistance to do these valued actions and make them sustainable. There's also an art of making them fun, finding ways how to make it easier to do them, like the examples that I gave with setting yourself up with success by putting the journal next to you on a table, or in the refrigerator, make yourself the protein shake, or put your workout clothes, and you want to become creative with that. You want to use the power of questions by asking yourself, okay, how can I set myself up for success? Oh, maybe music is getting me going in the morning. Maybe I love the music and it's getting me going instead of scrolling on social media and getting more information, and then I go right away outside the house. How can I make it easier for myself to get right away outside the house? Oh, I can already have my bag packed, right? I can already have my clothes set up. Do I have my portable charger charged, right, the night before? Okay, I have a lot of coaching calls. Okay, I set it up the night before. Okay? So now think of it. Yesterday man, right? And that's also said in that article, is so to say the parent of today man and also kind of tomorrow man, right? The actions, how you set yourself up for success is like this parent where today is like, oh, thank you yesterday man for setting me up for success. I have my protein shake, I have my Greek yogurt in the fridge, I don't have to rush to get food, I have my clothes laid out. This is great. And then it goes further and further, right? Years of now, tomorrow man is like, wow, I'm so thankful yesterday man went to the gym 4 times a week, I'm so buff. Or me, right? I'm so thankful that yesterday man made thousands of videos, so I'm popular and famous on social media, and I make my living making videos where I love doing it, set up my camera and make these videos for you. My yesterday man set myself up for success. Oh, and my yesterday man wrote an amazing book I actually made a post on my story. I'm so thankful I wrote the emotional fitness book. It helps so many people, and guess what? It's so popular. People just recommend it to their friends, family, on social media, and while I'm sleeping, the book is selling and helps so many people. During the day when I'm at the gym, book sold, book sold, book sold, book sold. Because yesterday, man, was sitting after the gym for 6 months or a year, constantly thinking about how to give more value and writing that book, setting himself up for success. Then you also want to look at how do we set up us for success, because we don't want to do it in a way that's not sustainable, aka not fun, not productive. Let me explain. Example the book that I wrote. Actually, example the book that I wrote and example how I do in my coaching calls. First, with the book that I wrote. For me, it was easier to be relaxed after the working out, have like this fresh mind, the hormones going, the good, how do you call them? The good chemicals going in your brain, right? Then after, I felt good to be like relaxed and write the book. Because my gym has like a beautiful atmosphere where I can sit down and write my book and work on things. There's a lot of people in my gym who also work on things in different areas set up. So I was like, yes, let me work here. It's fun to work around people. I don't want to work in my apartment. And so I worked where it was more fun and where I was more inspired, right? And I did it on my phone. I don't think I took my computer. No, I did it on my phone, worked on my phone, and it was just easy. And it made it fun for me. Another example, I started one-on-one coaching 5 years ago. Watch this, how you can set yourself up for success by uniquely asking yourself what's fun for you. I live in Los Angeles. It's very hot in the summer. It's also hot like around like even it can be hot in September, it can be hot in February. So I love being outside. So from the beginning, I made it a point to do my one-on-one coaching calls during the day when it's warm, outside. Even with my shirt off, because I wanted the sun, I didn't want to be hot undershirt, and I tell you, no one cared. I set myself up for success. My authenticity, I already shared on social media myself, wherever I was, and I love being in nature, so I become a better coach by having the perception of seeing the beautiful nature, of seeing the wideness, because you have more wideness instead of being in like blocked down with walls. So you're being more inspired as a coach, you feel better, you feel more energized. This is good for yourself and this is good for your clients. Now at night, I have my coaching calls here, which I'm fine with as well. It's fun here as well. I have my whiteboard, and during the day, if I want to, I have the coaching calls outside. I'm setting myself up for success. That's an example where I go maybe outside the social norms, where maybe you have a certain job, etc. You might not be able to walk around shirtless, but you can do other things that make things lighter. Like, for example, making jokes with your coworkers in between, or in your break going for a walk, or doing things in a way that are more fun, that are easier for yourself, that set yourself up for success. When I get an idea for a video, I either make it right away or I write it down. If I can't do the video right away, I always, like, if you look at my notes, 50,000, I don't know how many notes, right? Crazy amount of notes over the last 5 years. I write down the idea that I want to do, and then the next day, when I'm like free, I have the idea, I set myself up for success. I set tomorrow man up for success. Not only that, because another thing that I learned, I could just write down the idea, write short, and then the next day I'll be like, damn. I look at it and I'm like, what did I actually really mean? So I also need to set myself up for success by writing it. I learned this by writing it in a way that I remember it, with the thought process. Oh, this is what you want to say. This is the idea behind. These are the few ideas. You don't have to write a whole like script, but a little bit longer so you remember, oh yeah, that was the idea, and then it comes again. So you set your tomorrow man up for success. And looking at that, so the yesterday man at some point was the today man. So at some point they kind of were the child that received from the yesterday man. Then the yesterday man became the parent, and by doing valued actions, set up success for the child of the today man. Then the today man becomes the parent and sets that up for the tomorrow man. But what you really want to know in essence, that the only power any of these really have is the today man. The today man is the only one today man. You can only have power in the now. You only have the power access as the today man right here. This is the only one that has power. The past man, they don't exist anymore. They don't exist anymore. So you can't completely forget about the yesterday man. You can take the lessons, the things that you learned. Like yesterday you learned this video, for example, and you want to apply it for tomorrow. So you take the good things that you learned from the experience that worked out, and you have that memory from the today man. But to think about, oh, we're wrong, fix judging yourself, etc., that keeps you just off the path. And this is something that I'll show you later on with the perfection, where people, when they get off the path, they spend too much time off the path, and that's why they don't succeed. And I teach you how to go easier back on the path. So we want to understand that the today man is the only one. You have to understand, this is the only one that has access to power only in the present moment. You don't even have 2 seconds ago. You cannot go back not 1 second, not 1 millisecond ago. Like what I said like a second ago, you cannot, yeah, you can rewind of course on YouTube, but you cannot go in the past to like fix something. So being mad or judging here the yesterday man, there's no sense in that. We always want to be in the now and move forward. So today man has all the power. Now today man can choose to either constantly be reactive to their feelings and thoughts, which the brain from your past will already automatically give you in the present moment thoughts and emotions, right? Thoughts and emotions. Now, in the past, unknowingly, you either set yourself up for success or set yourself up for failure by spending a lot of time either inside of your head or outside of your head. If you spent a lot of time inside of your head, you created an algorithm for the brain. And if you spend a lot of time on feelings like anxiety, etc., the brain just understands, oh, that's what you want to use more of. The brain's language is behavior. So the brain then gives you more of those automatic thoughts already when you wake up. But that's why we don't set ourselves up for success by being reactive to these automatic thoughts, because if you're reactive, you're just replaying yesterday man. You're just replaying the patterns of yesterday man, right? You're not changing anything. You're not changing the brain. You're not setting up tomorrow man for success. So the only way to set up tomorrow man up for success is being proactively setting valued actions that up here on the right, I hope it's in the frame, that have the most impact, because we want to have the most leverage to improve your life. And then we want to set up those actions in a way that's sustainable, aka fun, easier, I didn't say it has to be easy, easier. And figuring out, you ask yourself with the power of questions, remember this, what I say right now, this is actually a skill, the power of questions. And I talked about this in videos before. If you ask questions like, oh, why was I so bad in the past? Well, how can I fix this? You create questions that create more of a fixing, a fixing compulsion, addiction, and judgment of the past. But if you ask yourself questions, okay, what can I do to support myself? What actions can I do to support myself? What actions can I do that have the most impact to set myself up for success, right? And then set them proactively into the week. And then set up an atmosphere that makes it more likely that you're doing those things. Then you're setting yourself up for success. And it can always only happen in the now. So what you want to understand, tomorrow man doesn't exist, right? But tomorrow man will exist. Because your today man on some point will be the tomorrow man, or the tomorrow man will be the today man, where once it's tomorrow, it will be today, it will be right now, it will be always the present moment. But with the actions, you set up the tomorrow man for success. So here's a question that I answered my client yesterday. When she was talking about, oh, what do I do when I'm so overwhelmed, etc. What do I do when I'm so overwhelmed? I have all these things coming at me at once. And this is where we want to create the clarity, right? Which we already started with asking, okay, what is the most impact, instead of being reactive to what the brain says is the most important. But if we look at what is the most impact, what has the most impact, and write things down outside of your head, because your brain can always trick you, you can look, okay, this is the most important, okay, let me do this, and let me do these actions, right? In addition, if you're so overwhelmed, one of the things is you're spending a lot of time inside of your head, which causes burnout. So you want to practice, which I talk about a lot in my videos, and how to do it. In my book, The No Brain Method, helps you to spend time more outside of your head. Because you say, no brain, which is you calling out the pattern, so to say. You're calling out the brain's like, oh, well, what about your ex, etc. No brain, and we don't do this is really important. We don't do this to get rid of the thought, what about your ex? We say no brain, more like, oh, I see you, this is not me. No brain, we're walking right now. No brain, we're doing the chest press right now. No brain, we're running right now. No brain, we're talking to my friend right now. This is how you shift your focus back to the present moment and spending more time outside of your head. What this will do is actually change the algorithm of the brain and teach the brain that you don't want to spend that much time inside of your head over time. And your brain over time gives you less automatic thoughts, which is really cool. But in the beginning, you have to be okay that those thoughts are coming, because if you're hating on the thoughts, you're still engaging on the thoughts, and the brain gives you more thoughts. So the brain's language is engagement. Now, the third thing regarding the overwhelmment is you seeing all the things that you have to do like a mountain. Oh, this big mountain, and then you have to understand, if you look at it like a mountain and you're like, oh, this mountain, oh, I have to do all those things, you're still inside of your head. You're not in the present moment, because you're thinking about the mountain right now. You're thinking about how big the mountain is. What you have to understand, you only always have this step. You only have this moment. So even though the mountain seems big, it's only like this step, and the next way, this step, this step, this step, this step, this, and it's all only now. But if you overwhelm yourself by saying, oh, it's this big mountain, it's this big mountain, you spend so much time inside of your head about it, and then your brain's like, yes, it's this big mountain, look at this big mountain. And then you're like, no, the big mountain. And then you burn yourself out, right? Because you're spending all that energy on like the fear about the big mountain, instead of putting your energy in the moment on the actions that would support you to get up this mountain, all right? Now the next thing, really important, okay? These are all practical tools. I always want to make it practical for you, because it's so nice. It's like this addiction of people sometimes to watch videos that sound good in our theory, and the theory of the tomorrow man is so beautiful, but we want to make it practical. So think about your path and staying on your path. Staying on your path is the path of valued actions, of the things that grow your life, of the things that give you success, of the relationships you want to build, of the business you want to build, of the TikTok you want to build, of you becoming a doctor, you going to university, you building good mental health, you building good physical fitness, etc. Right? This is all on the path. And on the path are the actions that grow your path, that grow your value garden. As Mark Freeman, the value garden exercise that he created, is we're creating this garden that supports us, that nourishes us, right? This is your path, staying on the path. Now, some people, they're like, okay, I'm going to start this process, They're like, yes, okay, I'm going to start. And they go like this. They're like, okay, yeah. I'm on my path, I'm doing so good. And constantly the old patterns are still like attacking them from the outside, right? But they're like, no, I keep going. They get a little more tired because the patterns are attacking them. And they're like, I got on the path, I ate pizza, or I didn't do the things I told myself to do, or they didn't go to the gym, etc. And then they hear off the path, right? Now the problem that many people do then is like, oh, I'm already off the path, I'm a mess up, I might eat more pizza, I go less workout, I don't build my business, etc. Because I might as well, like, I already fucked up, I already messed up, I might as well mess up more, right? So that's one of the patterns some people do, right? And then they hurt their tomorrow man way more than if they just went up on off the path just once, instead of then self-sabotaging them more, right? Now, you're less likely to stay off the path longer if you say it's okay that I fall off the path. If you don't say it's okay that you fall off the path sometimes, then you beat yourself up, and then you create more resistance. When we create more resistance in our body, we create more pressure, and then you're trying to get more relief from the pressure by doing more of the addictive things like chocolate, going with your feelings, etc., right? So, and then the second part is, if you go over your path, another pattern you might do is, oh, I'm so bad for getting off the path. I'm such a loser. Why do I always do this? Why do I get off the path? How can I fix getting off the path? Do other people get off the path? Let me look on Reddit what other people do when they get off the path. Or, here's a thought, you just go back on the path. Because the longer you judge yourself here, the more you stay off the path. Because you're like, oh, why am I off the path? And you spend all this time judging yourself, so you stay longer off the path. Or, to set up tomorrow man for success, why not going back on the path? Now, what does it mean to go back on the path? Just what valued action is most impactful to move forward here on the path. Can be just going to the gym, can be eating a healthy meal, instead of spending time inside of your head, what action do I want to do? And you have to be okay doing, because you will not feel like it. Remember that. Because your brain is giving you, a lot of times when you're off the path, the feeling of not feeling going back on the path. Just know that's also a pattern. The feeling of not feeling like it going back on the path is also a pattern. And I told this my client, and I tell this all my clients. Instead of saying, okay, I'm doing this thing now that I don't feel like, be like, no, I'm training emotional fitness right now. This is great. I want to practice having the feeling of not feeling like it and doing the valued actions, because it causes myself more emotional fitness. Mark Freeman always talks about this. I want to practice doing all the valued actions with any feelings and any thoughts. And you want to make it like a positive label that you put on, instead of being like, okay, I'm doing this thing. It's like, no. This is good for me. This is good for me to do this. And the more you do this, the more emotional fitness you build, and the less these patterns that the brain gives you from the past have an effect on you, because you build that emotional fitness. So, which means, remember we talked about off the path and on the path. This means we don't make it about perfection, we make it about taking up territory. It's just about taking up more territory. And the more territory you take up over time with those valued actions, the more you support your tomorrow man, and the more you show proof to your brain that you value yourself and you have self-worth. This is also something that Mark Freeman taught me. You're showing yourself with your behavior, by doing the values with your behavior, that you value yourself. And the more you're investing in yourself with your behavior, with your values, the more you're showing your brain that you are worth it. And you're creating self-worth. I teach this in my self-worth course. If you want to build self-worth, I'm going to drop the course also in the description. Recap and practical. Recap. Only today man has the power. Today man has the power to set up tomorrow man for success, right? Today man doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to take up more territory. How can you set up tomorrow man for success with an atmosphere that's easier for tomorrow man to have success? And then how can you do those actions at today man that makes it easier for you to do the actions? AKA, how can you make it easier for you to go to the gym? By putting the workout clothes out, by going to the gym that you enjoy, by maybe having friends at the gym, maybe going with a gym partner, etc. Putting your journal next on the table, meditating first thing in the day, not grabbing the phone, maybe putting the phone in another room. How can you make it easier for yourself to do the things you want to do that are good for you, and how can you make it harder for yourself to do the toxic thing? Example, when you wake up in the morning, to make it harder to do addictive things with the phone, you can put the phone in a different room. To make it easier for you to meditate is to have, for example, if the phone's next to you, a paper on it, say go meditate, or something on the wall says go meditate, and then go out the bed right away, meditate, or set an alarm for meditation, go out the bed, meditate, and then if you want to journal, put the journal right next to you on the bed. Then when you get off the path, stop beating yourself up, just go back on the path and have the acceptance. I allow myself to get off the path. That's okay. But when I get off the path, as fast as I can, I try to get back on the path. And the adding up more good things, brick by brick by brick by brick by brick over time, creates this amazing house. And then when something little goes wrong that would have been bigger because the house wasn't that big, now you build a bigger house. But if something goes, it's not as hard because you built this big atmosphere, this big garden, or this big house that supports you. Let me know in the comments the things that you think about right now, how you can set yourself up for success for tomorrow, to go to the gym, to build your business, to do the things. How can you set up an atmosphere for you to thrive? If you want to go deeper on building a life based on valued actions, how to find your valued actions, how to build cognitive diffusion, which means not being identified with the brain patterns, you can get my emotional fitness book in the link in the description. And if you live in Los Angeles, on December 13th, I do a 6-hour workshop on how to let go of those patterns, because you don't need more self-help, you don't need more information. You need to create a new foundation. And in that workshop, I teach you how to build that new foundation and how to actually have a different 2026. The link is in the description. I'm excited to see you there, and I'll see you in the next video.